Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket. Case number 1, New Edison Lounge, 3133-35 East Monument Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 26th, 2018. Please come forward.
Good morning, everyone. For those who have not been here before, we are recorded. The gentleman down here to my left is recording, and we're televised. So when you come forward, you'll be sworn to give testimony, and when you do speak, I'd ask you to please lean into the microphone so we can pick up your testimony and spell your name after you give your name. Thank you. Are you Mr. Kim, sir?
Yes.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Kim, you are charged with a violation on July 26th of this year for a sale to minor. Do you admit or deny that that occurred?
Admit guilt.
Would you like to explain to the board what happened on that occasion?
Not really. I tell each one of my employees every day, double check ID. She was just being irresponsible. She's no longer works with me. Every one of my employees knows if they make this mistake, that's it. You know, that's their job. But she made a mistake, and I can't do anything. I have to pay for the violation.
Inspector, were they cooperative with you?
Yes, sir. We don't have any issues.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you for your candor, sir. On the basis of the information contained in the charging documents and your testimony and admission of a violation, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 26, 2018. This is the second such violation in a matter of months. So I guess you have to be more careful.
I'm trying to find the right, employee.
I would impose a $1,000 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Oh, you want me to go? Yes. I have to find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on July 26, 2018, and would concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Thank you.
That's all right.
I concur also.
Okay. Good luck, sir.
Next seat, sir. Take all exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the attorney for case number 2, 3724 Eastern Avenue, is caught up in circuit court and will be running a little late. Can we move to case number 3?
Yeah, let's hold off till he arrives, okay?
Okay, we're going to call case number 3. Oriental Sports Bar, 3820 East Pratt Street. This is a Class D beer and wine license, a violation of 4.01A, sales to minors, on July the 25th, 2018. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, 320 North Charles Street, representing the licensee.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hand, sir, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Kadansky, admission or denial?
Is there the cadets here, Ortiz, if you please? Let me admission.
Okay. Any mitigation?
Well, I'm seeing a pattern here of what some of these licensees, for whatever reason, first of all, their employees are not very good, and this employee is now not there anymore. Mr. Hernandez is spending more, place doesn't open until 2 or 3 o'clock, and spending more time there, is making sure that all their people are certified. Number 2, for some reason, they were under the impression, I don't know where if they open the bottle and they don't take it and then come back and check, it's okay. They're never to open the bottle. They're to check the ID first. And then he's implementing one of his employees that they have to be known that if this happens that they have to be responsible for some of the fines on the thing, because he can't be there every minute of every day. It's a beer and wine place. It's not, some kick-ass rock and roll place or something like that where there's a lot of problems with it, but it is his place, and he, during the day, he's a painter blaster, and he comes home and he's going to start spending more time there. So he thinks that he's finally got it to the point where his employees know that you've got to check. You can't open a bottle. You can't do anything until you check their ID. And I told him, if they ask for ID and they don't have, they'll leave. It's real simple.
Okay. Cooperation? Commissioners have questions?
No.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the admission that was received this morning through your counsel, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 25, 2018. Again, this being the second such violation within a matter of months. You've only had the license for a little over a year, so I would impose a $1,000 fine and give you 30 days to pay.
I concur.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Thank you.
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
Green Turtle, 718-22 South Broadway. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 0.01A, sales to minors on July the 25th, 2018. Please come forward.
Your name, sir?
William Pacco.
Mr. Packer, would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Pacco, you're charged with a sale to minor on July 25. Would you admit or deny that?
Admit.
Okay. And do you want to tell us anything in mitigation?
Please. It's a fairly new employee, and our kitchen closes at 11 o'clock, and he was working with another bartender who's been with me for a number of years. So as the other bartender was closing out checks and getting tips together for this new employee to get off of work, evidently the cadet came in and the existing bartender, the older, asked him just to wait on this person while he finished up his paperwork. He did serve him. He's certainly been made aware of what he had done. He does have, for the record, alcohol awareness that he's passed, and probably in your records, you also have that in March and in May, I got letters of commendation from the board that we have been keeping track and carding minors when they come in, and the cadets had been carded twice so far earlier in the year. So the employee has certainly been made aware of his mistake, and working it will not happen again.
Cooperation? Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
So actually, we are happy when the people who make mistakes learn from them and can keep their jobs. We're not here to see that they get terminated unless
Right,
they are
and neither am I. He's
flagrant
certainly the point was
violators.
made.
This is the second time in 5 years with a sale to minor. You have some other violations. And you've had this license since 1986?
32 years.
And no violations until '09?
Right.
What happened in '09? It started downhill.
Well, honestly, I'm 63. I don't remember.
Okay. All right, so we have some history of violations. I would impose a $1,500 fine and give you 30 days to pay it. I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on July 25, 2018 as well, based on what you've told me.
I concur.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $1,500 fine.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
Aloha Sushi, 1218 North Charles Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 25th, 2018. Please come forward.
Would you folks raise your right hands, please? Mr. Chris Samalas.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So you were charged with a sale to minor on July 25 of this year. Do you admit or deny that happened?
Admit.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you want to tell us anything in mitigation?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to apologize to the liquor board. It was careless and irresponsible on our part. We should have been a little bit more strict with our staff. Our staff member is still with us. We believe in giving people fair chances. Next Tuesday, we are scheduled to retake the alcohol awareness certificate class. In the meantime, we have attended Alcohol Anonymous classes just to better educate ourselves on the health effects of alcohol and addiction, and we will be more strict in the future.
Okay. Do the commissioners have any questions?
None.
Okay. Were they cooperative with you? Okay. So is it Ms. Chas? Am I
Yes.
saying that correctly? Thank you for being so straightforward with us. On the basis of your testimony and the other materials we have before us, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 25, 2018. You have a prior sale in 2016, so I'd impose a $1,000 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A and concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
I concur also.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise, exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
Playbook 6700 German Hill Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 25th, 2018. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. With me is the manager, Mr. Carlos Bolnas.
Good morning. I'll be recusing myself from this matter, but I'd ask that everyone who's going to testify raise their right hands.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Previs, will this be an admission?
It will.
Okay. Would you like to explain what happened?
Thank you. On the evening of July 25th, Ms. Clenny Alvarado, who is here with us today, was the bartender on duty. And what happened was she thought that there was a security staff at the front door who was carding people, and it so turned out that that gentleman had left because of a family emergency. So when she saw Mr. Ortiz come in, she told me he looked to her about 23, but assumed that somebody else had carded him, and she did furnish the Corona beer, and the reason being that she thought somebody else had carded him, which she should have been more vigilant, and she apologizes for that, as does the establishment. Ms. Ortiz, Ms. Alvarado has worked as a bartender for 5 years, for a couple of years at this establishment, and she does have an alcohol awareness certificate. She said she just let her guard down because she assumed somebody else had carded, and she apologizes for that, and that's what happened. We have an interpreter here if necessary, but basically she was honest about that. She still works at the place, and
So who's managing this establishment?
Mr. Bolnas.
Where are the licensees? I mean, this is this record is really, really terrible, and just were in here a few months ago. I don't know what's going on here, candidly. So this is an establishment we see far too often.
Yeah, Mr. Bolnas is there full time. He's a part owner of the LLC that owns the licensed business, and he's in negotiations to buy the entire.
So this
business.
gentleman here is in the process of buying.
Yes.
From the licensees, and how long has he been managing this? That's not we don't need to worry about
But
that now.
he's been a part owner of the LLC.
Gotcha.
Since 2013 or thereabouts, and he is the full-time operator, and he is there on site.
Okay.
With regard to the priors, we were here with regard to the live entertainment issue last time that we were recently here about, which also had to do with some health department violations and a dog in the basement. the time prior to that was also health department issues. The sale to minor was in March of 16, and there was another sale to minor case in 14. And then in January of 13.
Commissioner Jones, do you have any questions?
Just one. What kind of plans are put into effect to assist the employees to do a better job of operating this bar?
We are going to ask that everyone be re-alcohol awareness certified and be more vigilant. We know that it just can't go on where there's minor violations. So we can't assume that someone else has carded. They have to do it for themselves, and everyone is going to get alcohol awareness certified. Is that right, Mr. Balness? Yeah, we're going to do it again, right? Yeah. Everybody's got to be re-educated. If there's lapses, something needs to be done so that it's in the front of their minds, because this is not a good situation for the licensee.
We have security too in front, but back there, we don't have the security.
Right.
It's Bulnes, how do you spell the last name?
B-U-L-N-E-S.
Mr. Chrisomalis, were they cooperative?
It's for as many times as we've been there, they are always very
Good. Okay. You don't have any other questions, Commissioner Jones? Okay. Based upon the admission and the evidence and testimony before us, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A. I would impose a fine of $2,500 and a 1-week suspension until this licensee gets itself in order, because I think if it comes back, it'll be even worse.
I concur. Plus,
The administrative fee to be paid within 30 days.
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Amalis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and the suspension starts immediately.
Castle Seafood Restaurant, 3720 Poteet Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 18th, 2018. Please come forward.
Would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Truth.
What is your name, sir?
Charles.
Mr. Chow, you are charged with a sale to minor on July 18 of this year. Do you admit or deny? Admit. Do you want to tell the board what happened?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We are in the process transfer the liquor license, so I didn't spend too much time on site. This is the new owner's sisters. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But it hasn't transferred yet?
Still in the process. The new owner is dying.
Is dying?
Yeah, it's like he paralyzed for 20 years. Now it's all bad so we already pay everything for transfer. Now we hold it.
So is he going to be able to take over the license?
I'm not sure. In the hospital.
Oh, well, that's
We
unfortunate.
scheduled transfer probably last week, but in the hospital.
Okay. Were they cooperative?
They were.
Will the commissioners have questions?
Do not.
Okay, Mr. Chow, on the basis of your testimony and the other materials before us, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on July 18, 2018. Last violation was 4 years ago. I'd impose a $750 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
Thank you.
I concur.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, and would impose a $750 fine.
Good luck.
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Elsie Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Amalis. Thank you.
Hollabird Bar and Liquor, 6701-05 Hollabird Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 25th, 2018. Please come forward.
Everyone raise their right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky, 320 North Charles, representing the licensee.
I jumped the gun on you, Mr. Kudensky. I apologize. So your client is charged with a sale to minor on July 25 of this year. Admission or denial?
It'll be an admission.
Okay. What would you like to tell the board?
Now, in this case here, it's a little more difficult to make the same argument because he is the licensee and he's the one who did it. After he had before, he was instructed his own employees and then he disregarded what he said. He went back to this furnishing versus selling. I said to him, you can't open a bottle and put it there regardless of whether or not you're going to come back and ask them for their ID because the rule is furnishing, and I think there's enough there, and I think I'm not going to get on your side, the side you would agree that he furnished it to him.
We're delighted whenever you agree with us.
Well, well, it's like, you could do a couple bars of Hooray for Hollywood at this time, but it's, and he understands, he made a mistake, he knows now, and he's going to instruct all his employees that they can't question first, furnish second, and you go from there. He had
Good policy.
one in for about a year ago in September, so he just said it was his mistake, and he's a licensee, he should have known better.
Understood. Cooperation? Commissioners?
No question.
Thank you. On the basis then of the admission, the other materials before the board, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01A on July 25, 2018, being the second in about a year. I would impose a $1,000 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Also concur.
Good luck.
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
El Rincon Troncolino LLC, 422-26 South Macon Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 18th, 2018. Violation of Rule 3.03C, employee records on July the 18th, 2018. Please come forward.
Please raise your right hands, folks.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Are you Mr. and Mrs. Munoz?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're charged with two violations, sale to minor on July 18 and failure to produce employment records on July 18th. Do you admit or deny the violations? Do you understand me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Did this actually happen, or do you want to have them testify first?
No, that's happened. It's correct. Like they say, I made mistake, you know.
Okay. Do you want to explain to us what happened on July 18?
The thing is, I was something to do, so my wages was to, you know, they don't put a really good attention in, because she was on the phone. I told her, you have to leave the phone. You have to put attention to who you to service.
You're blaming your wife for this?
No, my wife is.
No.
So that's what I told her, you know. So you cannot do this one. Say, I'm so sorry, but you're so sorry, but you see what happened. You service to the guys, but she says he looked like a old, but you need to ask ID.
Why were there no records on? Why didn't she have the employment records?
Oh, that was I get already, but I forget already. I told my own employee to bring me right now so I can show him the record of all the employees what I have right now. I make it right now already, but.
Do you maintain them on the premises so that if the inspectors ask for them, they're available?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it right now already. So okay, I put in all my permits there. I put right there over there already.
Okay.
So they're all records.
So, do you understand your employee records have to be at the establishment?
What does that mean?
At your bar?
At your
Yeah,
bar?
that was, I didn't know.
So when the inspectors come in, if they ask for them, they have to produce them?
I can
Okay.
put that in the windows. I got all permits, so I put right there now.
Any questions?
No, none.
Were they cooperative with you? Has anybody been back there to see if the records were available?
My employee bring it right now. If you want, I can show
That's
you.
all right. I believe you that you have them.
Check to see
Yeah,
if
okay. I just wondered if you had been, okay.
I personally.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis of the materials that are contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, I'd find two violations, a Rule 4.01A violation on July 18, 2018, and a Rule 3.03C violation on July 18, 2018. Last violation was back in May for a sale to minors, so I would impose a $1,200 fine and give you 30 days to pay.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A. Did you separate them
Yeah,
out?
I was just about to say, I'll make that a $1,000 fine on the 4.01A and a $200 fine on the other.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, agree with the imposition of a $1,000 fine, and find a violation of Rule 3.03C, and agree with the imposition of a $200 fine.
Also agree.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, L.C. Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice.
Arizona Bar and Grill Restaurant, 25 South Broadway. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 19th, 2018. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing Mr. Morales, the licensee.
Mr. Morales, would you come forward and raise your right hand, and the inspectors as well, please? Detective.
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Sale to minor violation on July 19, admission or denial?
It'd be an admission.
Okay.
The situation here is, I know before that you had a case, but it had to do with be open after hours. It's a D license. He's only supposed to be open at 1 o'clock. Sometimes it's hard to explain to some people that at 1 o'clock they go. We used to have problems up in Greektown with Bazooka because they thought they could stay open in Greece till 4 o'clock, except we're only about 4,000 miles away from Greece. No excuse. He finally straightened out all that. He's trying to get new management in there. The lady who worked there no longer works there. He explained to them from now on, if anything happens like that, they're going to be responsible for payment of the fines. He's spending more time there as part of his management and getting a whole new management routine in there, and try to get everything all straightened out. He had minors back in 14, but it's not the main case last time was staying after 1 o'clock. I think that he's now, since he's going to be spending more of his time there, he's been involved in the alcoholic beverage business for a long time, and he should really be able to take care of this.
Cooperative? Commissioners?
No question.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the admission that was received before us just now, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01A on July 19, 2018. The record's not great. There's 2 prior sales to minors and whatever, although they aren't that recent. I'd impose a $1,000 fine and give him 30 days to pay it.
I concur.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, and would concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective L.C. Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
El Antro, 4020 East Lombard Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minor on July the 18th, 2018. Violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct on July the 18th, 2018. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the licensee.
Okay. Thank you. You have your hands up, so.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Will these be admissions or denial, Mr.
These
Cook?
will be admissions.
Okay. So what happened on July 18th?
On July 18th, 2018, a bartender, Ms. Cortez Guadalupe, did indeed sell to Cadet Ortiz. Ms. Guadalupe spoke very poor English, very poor English. The manager reports that 99% of the customers speak Spanish solely at the establishment. Accordingly, or apparently, Cadet Ortiz did speak English with her at all times. She served him, there's no question. There doesn't take Spanish or Russian or anything to do math and ask for an ID. So clearly, she didn't understand what he was saying, but she gave him a plastic bag, and apparently he did use that plastic bag to put an open container of beer into that bag and was able to secret out the door with it. So those things happened. Ms. Guadalupe discussed the situation with the general manager, Fernando Arce, who was on duty at the time, and indicated that she simply didn't understand what the request was. Somebody wanted a bag, a sack. She gave it to him, that it wasn't done right in her face, that it was, he had a bag, and at some point he was able to make it out of the bar with a bag of opened beer. Ms. Guadalupe then finished her shift on that evening and never returned to work again. Mr. Arce is here, and he's the one who had the conversation with her. Now, since that time, Mr. Arce and Mr. Castro, the assistant manager, have implemented a 100% ID check at all times. And that's pretty much what they were under prior to this. But let me tell you what happened with the bar in 2015, because I think this is significant, and I think it's significant as far as showing a pattern of things are getting better. You may notice from your paperwork the summary from the computer, and that shows you that on March 26th, it looks like, of 2015, no, that's when they paid it. So they had this 60-day suspension and a $7,500 fine to pay in 2015 as a result, as you can see, of a laundry list of items there. This bar used to come before the board that I was on with Commissioner Jones, as you can see. So after that, and I think it was John Pica who represented the licensees at that hearing, that violation hearing before Judge Ward. In any event, after that, I was retained by a gentleman named Helmine Portillo, who transferred, who filed a transfer application. He was buying the bar, and in fact, he was approved for transfer by a 3-0 vote by the Liquor Board in 2015, as you can see from these records. Now, what happened after that was the transfer languished. The building was built in 1907 and had some electrical issues, and inspections didn't pass. And then one day, they got a letter from the Liquor Board indicating that this transfer needed to be done in 180 days, and it's now, I want to say, day 380 or something, way over the time limit. So the transfer is dead. Now, what happened there, interestingly, even though the transfer was dead and now the license reverts back to Mr. Yanis, things had changed in the meantime. Mr. Yanis had basically hired the entire team that Mr. Portillo was putting in place. And they, once they continued to work there, and once the transfer was denied, they were there. Mr. Yanis fired the manager after the 2015 incident and hired Mr. Arce at that time and Mr. Castro at that time. There was a fight. It involved a fight in the parking lot, among other things. They had 2 security at the time. They had one in the front door and one milling about the establishment. Now they have 4, and since 2015, they have 4 security. They have 2 guys at the door, a guy going around the parking lot, and a guy in the establishment.
What you're saying is that this was a bad situation back when it appeared before the board in 2015, but that the personnel have changed significantly since then.
And I think the record kind of reflects that. You can see also from this computer screen printout that they have passed compliance checks as late as March of 2018. So really the major problems, as you can see, I remember this bar well, 11, 14, and then I think that was one of my last cases. And then the last 2 have been on other boards' watches. Nevertheless, I guess what I'm arguing here, and first I want to let you know that Mr. Yanis is again marketing the establishment. He wants to get out of the business, and he would have gotten out of the business but for the fact that after the inspections went bad, the putative buyer was able to back out of the contract. That having been said, this bar, thanks to that management team, really did turn itself around and managed to stay out of trouble for 2 different boards. I mean, they've never been in front of you. They were never in front of the board prior to you. They got their problems taken care of. So I understand that it's the same owner and that, there's a cumulative effect of these violations. But given the attempted transfer of 2015 and given their record since then, I'd like you to consider that. And let me ask you, sir, one final thing. One of the greatest things the Liquor Board has done in the last few years is they now send out letters saying, you're at your 90-day warning. You got your transfer 90 days ago. You only have 90 days left. I think they're even sending out 45-day letters now, and I think that's wonderfully helpful. That wasn't in place at the time, and at the time, all they got was a letter saying, you're way out of time. So I would have loved for them to have the benefit of that. Maybe we would have had a new owner here, and I would tell you it's his first offense. But we don't have that. But I feel like we have a de facto situation regarding that, because you see the lack of charges and thus the lack of non-compliance since 2015. So I'd ask you to take those things into consideration, and I appreciate your time.
So, Inspector, Detective, have you had any problems in recent years with these folks running this place?
We've had a couple small issues with fights. I believe that he took our recommendation, has switched security since the last incident that I had addressed them. So I think since then they've been okay.
Were they cooperative on this occasion?
They were.
Commissioners have questions?
I do not.
None.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials that are contained in the charging documents, the admissions of the 2 violations here, proffers from counsel and testimony, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01A on July 18, 2018, and a violation of Rule 4.16 on July 18, 2018. Taking into consideration counsel's explanation about the circumstances, I would not recommend a suspension in this case. I'd impose a $2,000 fine as to the Rule 4.01A violation and a $1,000 fine as to the 4.16 violation, and give them 30 days to pay it. And primarily that's because it is essentially the same licensee.
Well, we understand. Thank you.
I concur with that.
Fine.
I concur.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A, agree with the imposition of a $2,000 fine. Find a violation of Rule 4.16 and agree with the imposition of a $1,000 fine.
Thank you.
Any chance they get 45 days to pay?
Is that?
Or have we changed our SOP?
I'm not sure
on
if we're
that?
permitted to do that.
No, okay.
No, Mr. Page?
We're not permitted to do that, Mr.
Sorry.
Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We don't have the authority, but,
Yep.
okay.
Thank you very much. See you this afternoon.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Elsie Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent John Chrisomalis. Thank you.
Catch 22 Saloon, 6000 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 18th, 2018. Please come forward.
Would you raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Would you gentlemen state your names, please?
My name is Joe Chang.
My name is Stephen Kong.
Okay. So,
Stephen Kong, KONG.
so Ms. Chen, you're charged with a sale to minor on July 18, 2018. Do you wish to admit or deny that that occurred?
Admit.
You admit. Okay. I note that this is the first violation for you, but would you like to explain to the board what happened?
Yeah, can I explain?
You may.
We just opened, so we're going to do a lot of employee turnover. So the person that was doing it is still with us. He's a really nice person, and he just lack of judgment. He just forgot to check ID card. We usually either him or me, manager, watching, make sure everybody check ID card.
but he was closing time. He was upstairs running the reports, and he just sold to the minor.
So has Mr. Hernandez been advised that he needs to card everyone?
Yes, we train all the employees.
Okay.
And we also post signs up to remind employees to check ID card both in Spanish and English.
Good idea. Cooperative with you? Yes. Okay. Commissioners have questions? Thank you. On the basis then of the materials that are before the board and your testimony, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 18, 2018. I'd impose a $500 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Good luck.
Head Constables for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report. Detective Elsie Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice.
Did anyone show up for our Main Street case?
Mr. Chairman, the licensee for 3724 Eastern Avenue would like to approach the
Please come up.
Do you want this on a separate track? Call.
This is that case we postponed.
case number 2.
Are we hearing it right now?
I'm about to find out. This is-
Get us on a separate track for it.
If you need a minute?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And are you Mr. Singh, sir?
Yes, I'm Gurpreet Singh.
What did you want to tell us?
Well, my attorney couldn't make it because
Would
he
you
has-
rather wait for him, or do you want to go forward?
Well, I wouldn't know what to do in this situation.
But we could hold it till this afternoon if you think you could get.
He said he won't be able to make it.
Okay. All right, so you are charged with a sale to minor violation on July 25, 2018. Would you admit or deny that?
Admit.
Okay. Do you want to tell the board what happened on that date?
Same story as always. The bartender overlooked, overjudged, didn't check ID.
Okay.
She's not working with us anymore, and I hired a security that checks at the door before they come in, and the bartenders that are inside working, I give them the same packet training that Mr. Murray gave me. So the last, I think this is not my first.
No, this is your fourth sale to minor.
So, I've been training more and more employees, but some of these bartenders, they want to work today, and then tomorrow they don't show up, so.
I sympathize with that, but you got to be really careful with them because these are fines, and you're looking at suspension if this record continues. So, is he cooperative with you?
Yes.
Do commissioners have questions or comments?
Chairman, is this request for, are we hearing the case?
We're hearing the case. He says that his lawyer is not going to
He
appear.
won't be able to come today.
No, I'm speaking to the chair. Okay, I didn't know.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Singh, I'm not hearing anything from you that suggests why we shouldn't suspend you. It sounds like you're doing the same practices you've been doing, and you already have 3 sales to minors, and you've had this license since 2012. Again, not a great record. What are you going to do different?
Well, I hired a security that sits at the door before, as you can see, I have the liquor store and the bar. In the carry-out part, we never have problems because it's me and one other employee, and we are very controlled. We work hard. I can't stay at the bar all the time. So the bartenders, they, as you heard with other places, they have the same problems. So I have a security sitting at the door that checks ID before they come in, and then on top of that, I give anybody that I hire, I remind them daily, you have to check ID, you have to check ID. Even now, I stand over there more than before, and I enforce hey, did you check ID? Did you check ID? Stop. Check ID first, even if they're reoccurring customers. So, these are the actions that I've been taking ever since this violation took place. We're working very hard in this situation.
Not unless I misunderstood. It sounds like you say to me that the operation's too big for you to handle.
No. I'm saying I can't be there at all times. So in the liquor store part, we don't have a problem because I'm one of the employees over there. I also work in the liquor store and the girl. the girl and me were very well trained. It's the bartenders that served the gentleman over there. So the bartender, she's not working. I asked her, hey, you need to go take a class. You need to get certified if you want to continue with us. And she said, no, I don't have time for this. So that was the type of employee that I was dealing with. I guess she failed to follow direction. That's all. And then now I'm standing there at all times when I'm selling. Hey, check ID, check ID, check ID.
Let me see if I understand this again. I'm asking the question again. On the side where you are, no violations.
I mean, it's one counter.
Because you're diligent, you check things. On the other side, where you have the deficiency, you ask the persons on that side to better themselves by doing whatever you suggested, and the person said, I don't have time.
That certain employee, after it happened.
I haven't heard anything to convince me that that side is going to be better because of what improvement? You haven't given me any improvement yet for that side.
I'm standing there checking the bartenders. And then the ones that I'm hiring now and the ones that are there right now, I show them the packet, I read it to them, I have one in Spanish, one in English, and I tell them it's very important to check ID. And I put a security guard on the door that always checks everybody's IDs when they enter. So, if he's not doing his job, they're required to do their job, and they're always double checking each other. I'm always double checking everybody. So this is what I've been there doing 7 days a week.
Thank you.
Sorry. Anything else? Do you have anything further, sir?
No.
Cooperative with you? Yes. Okay. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and your testimony, sir, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 25, 2018. This being the fourth offense, I'd impose a $2,500 fine. I'd suspend the license for 3 days, and I'd give you 30 days to pay.
I concur with that finding.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $2,500 fine and a 3-day suspension.
Should be effective immediately. Thank you.
Cedar, here, sir. Can I call the exhibits for the record? Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
Page is at the morning docket.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Thank you. You're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the PM docket of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, preliminary matters on the PM docket. Case number 6, 1807-11 Baker Street, postponed. Case number 10, 3538 South Hanover Street, postponed. Case number 12, 2921 O'Donnell Street, postponed. Call the case of Oxygen Lounge, 10 South Calvert Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Labor and Employment Article 9-1012, suspension of license or permit on April the 26th, 2018. Please come forward.
You talked to Maria, right? Saxon.
Counsel?
Oh, me first.
Please.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky.
Good afternoon.
For the record, Thomas Akers, Deputy Executive Secretary, Liquor Board.
Go ahead.
Your Honor.
Is there a preliminary matter?
You shouldn't be, if I may turn back to the board. Is anyone here from the Unemployment Insurance Fund? Anyone here from the Unemployment Insurance Fund? Your Honor, I had spoken with the Assistant Attorney General yesterday in regards to this matter, and they stated that they were going to be here to request a postponement because the attorney that's handling this matter is in jury trial right now. So,
have you had conversations with them?
Maria Saxon is the one that did. We had preliminary talks with her about resolution. And so she mentioned, she said to me on the phone that I didn't have to be here. I said, I really like being here, and I have to be here anyhow. And then she had given me some dates that I'll talk to Mr. Akers about when they thought they could put it back in.
But you're in agreement to continue it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Case is continued.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thunderettes Pleasure Club, Inc., 1322 North Milton Avenue. This is a Class C beer, wine, and liquor license, here for a violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on August the 25th, 2018. Please come forward.
Those who are going to testify, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Raise your right hands, please. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Sir, what is your name?
My name is Ray Matthews.
Mr. Matthews, you're charged with a rule violation on August 25, 2018, under our general welfare rule. Are you familiar with the facts?
Yes.
Would you admit or deny the violation?
Well, can we, just saying the facts in terms of what was in the letter?
What you're charged with. Do you agree that it occurred or not?
It occurred.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Well, to the best of my knowledge.
Were you present?
Yes, I was present. Okay. There were two young ladies who were each a guest of a member of our establishment, and somehow they got intertwined in some kind of altercation. A young lady was dancing, swinging her hair. The other young lady stopped her because I guess she felt she was in her personal space. And then the girl, the one who got stopped, turned around. She pushed the girl. Girl got out, ran towards her. Myself, security, ran towards the altercation. And that was basically it. Stopped the girls from fighting, but they were engaged for, I don't know, 5-6 seconds or something like that. And that was just that. Got the girls out of there. A police officer had come by. They called an ambulance. That was it to the best of my knowledge. I had checked on a young lady. She said she was fine.
Did you know if she went for further treatment?
Based on a report, yes.
Okay. Is there anyone to testify about this?
May I turn my back to the board?
Yes.
Is Officer Yancey present? Officer Yancey?
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm just going to hand up the evidence file, and you'll see there's a copy of a summons stapled, signed.
Okay. Well, I assume that the facts that are stated in our records are taken from the report, right?
Correct.
Okay. And essentially the same as what Mr. Matthews has told us. So this is a private club, is that correct?
Yes.
And the license has been with them for 45 years, according to my records.
I think.
Without any violation.
Yes.
So how did these two ladies get involved?
This
after
generally
all this
doesn't
time?
happen, but this generally doesn't happen because everyone pretty much knows everyone. That being said, not really sure how it happened, but I'm very sensitive to what goes on around there. So as I'm moving towards it, when you start seeing people interact and it's not normal behavior, as I'm moving towards it, it breaks out and you kind of get there, and that's what happened. It generally doesn't happen now.
Anybody ever speak to the member who invited them to find out what was going on?
Yes.
And what
Yes,
was
that's
going
how I actually was able to reach out in terms of being able just to check on a young lady and things of that nature. But yes, and I was assured that she was okay and things of that nature. So
How did she get in?
she came in with a member.
With a member, and so you don't know, but you don't know what happened, or do you have a sense of how this, because this is at your establishment where we have someone who's been severely injured.
Yeah, well, yeah, she came in with a member. The young ladies, to my knowledge, did not know one another, to my knowledge.
Okay.
So they each had came in with separate members whom knew each other. But how did it happen? I don't know. Anytime you get in a situation like that, and there's a few drinks and things of that nature, really wasn't sure. I asked. Nobody was really sure as to how it happened. So I just checked on the individuals, the one individual that was involved, and penalized the member and let them know that they couldn't bring that guest and that they couldn't even come in for 30 days.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you want to tell us, Mr. Matthews?
Generally, for lack of a better term, I'd like to think that our establishment is one of the safe havens in terms of these type of establishments in Baltimore City. These things just simply do not happen with us, so truly felt bad about it, even until this day. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, nobody was, unfortunately, it happened. Fortunately, nobody was severely injured by this accident, but we're generally a strong place, a place where people come where they can relax and not have to deal with these type of incidents.
Okay, thank you. So on the basis of the materials that have been submitted, including the police officer's report, your testimony and your admission of the violation, I would find a violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on August 25, 2018. I'm not really sure exactly what to do in terms of a sanction, because 45 years is a long time to go without any violations. And this may have just been an unfortunate incident, but it is a rather serious one. So I'm going to impose a $250 fine and give you 30 days to pay it.
Okay.
But it's up to the commissioners whether they agree.
If I may interject, we are a staple of the community, and you know, there is a small association called the Milton Avenue Association, but I was one of the original members of the association. We helped to build a chess park down the street, and as you know, it's a rather desolate-looking area. So I tried to do my best, and she tried to do her best to play our part and help build in the community. So we have a coat drive on the 24th and things of that nature. So we're certainly invested in the community, with that being said.
We appreciate that. Commissioner Jones?
Can we reconsider the fine?
What would you suggest?
Maybe $100. I mean, if something happened, you know, because you have some type of input in the neighborhood, you don't just come there and take from it and run back to wherever you came from. It makes me feel that you may be vested, like you say you are. The park and all the coat drive and all the other things that you say you have done in the community is true.
You agree with him, Commissioner?
Yes, I find a violation of Rule 3.12 and would concur with Commissioner Jones.
I'll join him. So we'll reduce the fine to $100. You have 30 days to pay, and let's hope that we don't see you again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Sir? Sure. I can see down here.
Thanks, sir.
I call Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Officer Report. Officer Yancey. Thank you.
Haven Place, 400-02 North Haven Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and a Class AE adult entertainment license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on May the 16th, 2018. Violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 3.05A on May the 16th, 2018. Violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on July 9, 2018. Violation of Rule 4.16, Illegal Conduct, on July 9, 2018. Violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 3.04 on July 9, 2018. Violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 3.18, Illegal Conduct and Code Compliance, on July 9, 2018. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of licensees.
Good afternoon. Would all those who are going to testify please raise their right hands?
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Let's go through these one at a time, Mr. Fogelman, to see if there are any admissions. The sale to minor?
Deny.
Okay. The 305?
Deny.
Okay. General welfare?
Deny.
Illegal conduct?
Deny.
Okay. 3.04?
Deny.
And the 3.18?
Also denied. Thank you.
Okay. Who's going to testify?
I'll testify on
Okay.
behalf of the
underage, a cadet.
Is Cadet James here? Is he present?
Is he?
He's no longer employed.
Oh.
I would move to dismiss the charge.
Well, we're entitled to take hearsay testimony. So I'd be inclined to deny the motion. Let me hear from the detective.
Or 2340 hours, myself and members of the Baltimore City Vice Unit and Liquor Board agents sent a Cadet James into 400 Haven Place, which is known as an adult entertainment establishment. It's known to myself and other members of the unit. Once inside, Cadet James sat down, met with a server, later identified through Detective Greenhill as Camille Smith, 12/21/61. Cadet James exchanged a departmental $20 bill in exchange for a Corona beer, at which time he notified members of our unit that the purchase had been made as an underage individual. We then went in, ID'd Ms. Smith, basically advised them what had occurred and that further paperwork would be forwarded to the Liquor Board.
Okay. Do you have questions for the?
Yes, thank you, Detective. So, as in many of these cases, you only know what you were told. Is that right? Okay. And you never witnessed any of the incidents or allegations contained within his report?
Right. The cadet is solely undercover capacity by himself.
Right. And the cadet, you said, is no longer employed by the Baltimore Police Department?
No, sir, he's not.
All right. And in fact, it was a condition. It was a termination of employment. Isn't that right? To the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge, I really don't know. I mean, he was here one day and he was gone the next, but I don't know the specifics on why he's no longer here.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on that issue?
No, sir.
Who will testify as to the July 9 general welfare and illegal conduct charge? There's actually 4 charges from July 9.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Your name for the record, please.
Officer Derek Bowman.
Officer Bowman, what can you tell us?
On July 9, 2018, approximately 0200 hours, I responded to a call service to the 400 block of North Haven in reference to a shooting. As I arrived, I observed a Hispanic male lying in the back doorway with 3 people around him. They were holding rags on his chest at the time. He was shot multiple times. I walked around, looked at the front just to get the correct address, and I came back and the individuals were still pressing rags on him. And I called for other units, called for a medic, and at the same time, then I observed the manager of the establishment reaching in his pocket. I said, "Sir, stay out of his pocket." And he kind of argued, "Well, he's a friend of mine, I can get in his pocket." I said, "Sir, stay out of his left pocket." Then at the time I observed, I could tell it was a lot of money in there rolled up. It ended up being over $1,000 that I submitted. And then other units, my supervisors responded, homicide responded, medic responded, and he was pronounced dead at Bayview Hospital.
So you actually took the cash from the man who was trying to remove it?
I took I stopped him and then removed the money from the deceased.
And turned it over to
I
your
submitted it at ECU.
Okay. And you learned later that the man who had been shot passed away?
Yes.
Okay. You have questions?
Yeah, very briefly. Officer Bowman, you do know who called 911, don't you?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And would it surprise you if it was, in fact, the manager of the establishment who called 911 to report a homicide outside?
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. And you mentioned the doorway, but the actual decedent lay to the right of the side entrance of the establishment next to a guardrail. Isn't that right?
If you look at the establishment in the back, it would be right on the left. On the left.
If you're looking at the side door.
If you're looking at the doorway with the steps, it would be on the
to
left,
the
right
left
beside it.
parking lot, right.
More right at the bottom of the steps.
So you know where the guardrail is, right?
Right at the bottom of the step.
Okay. And on that night, you encountered several witnesses or several people out front assisting or attempting to provide medical assistance to the decedent.
Yeah, they were all like talking to him and holding rags on him.
All right. And in fact, Mr. Levito was one of the ones holding the rags to him.
One hand he was holding the rag, and the other hand he was reaching in his pocket for the money.
Well, that's your opinion,
what I
right?
observed, yes.
And in fact, you bragged in your police report that all of this was caught on BWC, didn't you?
Yes.
And what is BWC, officer?
That's our body-worn camera.
Yeah. And so why did you decide to not let the board see the body-worn camera?
I didn't decide that. They can see it at any time.
Can they see it today?
I don't know if a
Would
person can get access to it.
Would it surprise you that members of the staff of the liquor board have seen the video?
I'm not sure if they did.
And the commissioners haven't seen it?
I would like them to see it because you'll see clear as day him reaching in the pocket.
Okay. And you, nobody ever charged Mr. Eugene Levito with theft or evidence tampering or anything like that, did they?
Correct.
And that happened over 3 months ago, right?
Correct.
All right. And would you agree with me that there's almost nothing worse than being accused of stealing money from a dead man?
I don't think you should be reaching through the person's pocket as he's there being shot.
But as a sworn officer of the law, sir.
When I tried to stop him, he gave me an argument saying, "Oh, he's my friend. I can do that."
Sir.
That's also on body-worn camera.
Yeah, sir, as a sworn officer, why didn't you file charges against this man? Now, over
I stopped
90
him from
days
doing
old.
it. I stopped him.
So then the crime didn't occur? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if you can consider that a crime. I was stopping him.
Here's what I know. Here's what I know. This man's name is in the Baltimore Sun for stealing from a dead man.
I didn't put it in, sir.
But you're telling me that you've never charged him with any crime as a result
Sir,
of that night.
my report does not say anything about him. So it's, what the Baltimore Sun put in, it's not me, sir.
Well, do you disagree with me that his name is in this police report?
What does it say?
It says Mr. Gene Levito removed the U.S. currency from the victim Mr. Cruz's left front pant pocket. Incident captured on body-worn camera.
Correct.
And you're telling me that the Baltimore Police Department has never charged Mr. Levito in connection with anything that occurred that evening. Isn't that a fact?
I didn't. Not that I'm aware of anybody else. I didn't.
All right, would it surprise you if you ran a Maryland Judiciary case search result for Mr. Levito that there is no such mention to this date or this offense? I mean, you got to admit it. It's hard to prove somebody wasn't charged with a crime, right?
So the
don't
officer
have
testified
records.
he doesn't have any knowledge of any crime being charged. Okay.
All right. Let me ask you another question. Do you see anything in your report about any activity inside of the bar?
No.
Okay. Did you go inside the bar and do further investigation and interview people inside the bar to see?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Do you know who did?
Homicide detectives
Okay.
responded.
Well, let me ask you then. Do you know why the liquor board incident report for this matter recycles your information and then adds a single line that further investigation reveals that a verbal altercation started inside the bar? Do you have no knowledge or evidence of any verbal altercation starting inside the bar? Isn't that right? Okay. You have no knowledge of anything regarding this homicide happening inside the bar, right?
Correct.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other evidence on behalf of the charges? Please come forward. Would you state your name, please, sir?
I'm Detective Eric Ragland, assigned to the Baltimore Homicide Unit of the Baltimore Police Department.
Good afternoon.
RAGLAND.
Okay, Detective, what?
ERIC, yes.
Detective, what can you tell us about this incident?
So on that night, working, I maintained the office. Detective Hassan Rashid, as the primary investigator, responded to the scene to investigate the scene. My signature is on the offense report because Officer Bowman, when he returns from the scene and he writes his report, OIC that report, that's officer in charge in lieu of a sergeant because the sergeant was on the scene with Detective Rashid. What I signed to was basically to make sure that the report meets the requirements of a homicide, that the homicide unit was notified by communications to respond to the Haven Bar in the 400 block of North Haven Street, that they had a homicide, a shooting with a gentleman that was shot multiple times, Detective Rashid and Sergeant Robert Cherry then responded to that location to conduct the investigation. Further in that report that I signed is that the crime scene was established, that the investigation was afoot. The victim was transported to Bayview Hospital where he was pronounced deceased, which then qualifies the report as a homicide, being killed at the hands of another person, and that there was the scene being memorialized by the crime lab, and that property was recovered and submitted as evidence from the crime scene and from the victim.
Was anyone ever charged with the homicide?
Yes, it is a closed homicide.
Closed how?
It was closed by arrest.
Meaning that you've arrested someone, now it's in the hands of the state's attorney's office?
Correct. It is a pending trial case.
Okay, so it's pending in the circuit court in Baltimore?
Yes, it has been indicted.
You don't have any idea if it has a trial date, do you?
It does have a trial date sometime in January. I do not know the date. More than likely, I probably won't be subpoenaed for court because I'm not the investigator in the case.
Okay, thank you. Questions for the
None.
detective?
Thank you, Detective.
Okay. Anything further on these? Okay, do you want to present evidence?
I'd like to make a motion at this time.
You can make whatever motion you
All
like.
right, there's really no evidence whatsoever in the record indicating that anything happened within the interior of the establishment that led outside, which is certainly key to these charges. There's again, we have a cadet who is no longer employed by the BPD that cannot be cross-examined, that cannot be looked in the eye by my clients. And that's a failing on the part of evidence here. Furthermore, I think it's preposterous. The allegations made that someone was stealing from a dying man, and the evidence, if we get that far, will show you that these were friends of the dying man trying to save his life with towels. This man had been shot 5 times. And we have an officer, we have an allegation that in the presence of an officer with a body camera and other witnesses who are here today, that a man was stealing from a dying man.
I know you focused on that issue, but let me ask you this question. So, with respect to our rules, you're arguing that they have no liability to us if a serious offense occurs on their property, as long as it's not inside?
No, I'm not. But I'm saying that whoever wrote your charges seems to be making a big deal of something that is not even, that there's been no evidence to prove that anything happened inside the bar. And so I think it's important.
We can read that as well, but
Yeah.
and I heard the testimony. But aren't they responsible if on their parking lot someone gets shot?
Not necessarily.
Under what part of our rules?
There's no rule that specifically states that there's responsibility for an isolated incident, a surprise attack in a parking lot after the bar has closed. And that's what the evidence, that's what my testimony is going to show, that there was nothing that any human being could have done to prevent a surprise attack after the bar had shut down.
Okay, commissioners have questions before we proceed?
I think one of the things that would be helpful in me understanding your argument, Mr. Fogelman, is the victim clearly had some connection to the licensee and probably was at the establishment at some point, given the relationship between, the apparent relationship, between the owners, the licensees and the victims, if we take your argument and say
He was a customer.
he was a customer and they're going through his pocket. So I'm sort of curious about that, but I'm still also I'm not sure I agree with your argument that there isn't some responsibility if there's an act that's directly outside on the.
Yeah, I mean, there is
Prem-
I want to make it clear, there's no strict liability to these offenses. The Court of Appeals has never, and nor has the legislature, ever given strict liability a run here. There has to be a nexus between the management and the event. And unlike many bar fights, and let me say this, in many of these cases you hear, you see words are exchanged on the dance floor, and then maybe the manager kicks everybody outside because they're fighting. Maybe there was a case about a month ago where everybody was getting rowdy in a bar, and the manager just kicked everybody out, drinks in hand. Okay, this isn't that. This is a regular closing time. This was a tranquil, peaceful night inside and outside the bar up until 2:01 a.m. And everybody had left for the night. The only people left inside the establishment were 3 entertainers counting their money and the manager closing up. And the next thing you know, there are shots fired out front. The door is locked. 911 is called, and then there's a dead customer in the parking lot.
But it goes beyond that, Mr. Fogelman, because there's a dead customer whose pocket is apparently being rifled through by the licensee's employee. That's the issue. And so, and if you read the rules as they're charged, they're broad enough that they could capture.
But with all due respect, I find it absurd that for such a disgusting alleged crime that no one has ever been charged for that. And I think that goes to the heart of the fact that this didn't happen.
So do you wish to present any testimony with respect to what the security was that evening and
Absolutely.
What was going on?
Please, and thank you. Mr. Levito? Eugene Levito, Lovito. Mr. Levito, step up here. Tell me what you do for a living.
I was in the food service industry for 32, 33 years. I have another company, which we do Vegas nights, and I started to help Charles out after his manager passed away 2 years ago, 3 nights a week. So basically, it's 5 hours a night, and just pretty much opening the bar and sitting there.
All right, now tell me a little bit about the place. I mean, average number of customers, maybe 10 customers?
10, 12, maybe.
Yeah. But not a large establishment.
No, it's like as we consider it like a Cheers with dancers. Everybody knows everybody in that place.
So you knew the decedent?
I've seen him as a customer, yes. Do I know him as I didn't know really what his name was because they all go by different nicknames.
Did you know the name of the individual who was charged with the offense?
I saw him before, but other than that, no, I didn't know his name. They all use aliases. That particular person, from what I understand, his name was Bang. That's what he went by. The other guy that demanded...
May not help him in his trial.
That's what I said.
Well, you're asking, I mean, we got the alphabet in there that comes in. Guy, you got D, E, F, it's, people don't go by real names.
And the decedent's nickname was C?
C.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Matter of fact, he came in and he sat down next to me, asked me how I was because I had a triple bypass. And he didn't see me in the bar for several months. And he just came in at the end around 1 o'clock and sat down and ordered a drink and said how the hour was and asked him how the family was. And that was basically it. And he just moved on, talked to somebody else.
So there were no altercations, verbal or otherwise, inside the bar that evening?
No.
Okay. So real quickly, if you could just run through what happened after 1:30. You have last call, right?
Yes.
What time is that?
Between 1:40 and 1:45.
All right. What time do you turn the lights up?
Make the last call. Well, I wait 5 minutes. We turn the lights up. I lock the front door. And then we started gingerly pushing them out, meaning just asking them to leave.
How many customers were there at 1:50 when you turned the lights up?
4.
Okay. You remember them all?
It was 3 brothers and C.
Okay, and C being the decedent?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Also in the bar at that time was yourself?
Yes.
Miss Roberts, who's here today?
Yes.
Miss Moser, who's here today? Miss Kilgore, who's here today?
Yes.
All right, and the owner, licensee, Mr. Thrasher, was where?
Vacation.
He got a 1-week vacation in Cape May, New Jersey?
Well, he really never takes a 1 week.
Yeah.
It's usually about 3, 4
All right.
days.
And, okay, so the lights are up, the customers are asked to leave.
Right.
It's now what time?
1:55.
Okay. So no one is in the bar other than employees at this point?
Yes, the
Okay.
girls are counting out their tips, and we change up ones for bigger money.
Okay, so 4 people have
Yes.
now left the bar.
Yes.
Okay. What happened next?
The person who's this guy bang, all of a sudden I see him walk in. I mean, he was there with his girlfriend, and she said, wait him outside. There's Jocelyn. And all of a sudden I see her leave. Don't think nothing of it. The girls locked the door behind her because we have a slide lock. It still wasn't 2 o'clock. Approximately 5 minutes later, I hear gunshots. I hear 5 in succession. And I yelled, get away from the door, you know, meaning if they were in the dressing room, it's right there, just get away. And then I heard 4 or 5 more. Once it subsided, then I didn't see anything through the little window, security window that he had, and I did the slide lock and kind of gingerly walked outside. At first, I didn't see anybody laying there, and then I saw Mr. Cruz to my right on the other side of the railing, which is a guardrail.
Several feet from the steps.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And who called 911 and when?
Me.
When?
2:01.
Okay. And what time, and then, I'm sorry, what thereafter did you do?
Rendered aid.
All right, is it fair to say you were outside on your cell phone?
Yes.
Right with the decedent as you're calling 911?
Yes, and then 2 other of the girls came outside, and then I told them what I needed. I needed towels or something, because when we lifted his shirt, he had 5 gunshots, and he was bleeding from his mouth.
What in the heck were you doing near his pockets, near his pants, near his abdomen?
I have 2 brother-in-laws that were in the military as snipers. The first thing they do is shoot for groin. I was actually being shot in the lower extremity. I thought that he got shot in the groin also.
Did you see blood emanating from the groin area?
No, it just looked like it was wet. So that was why my hand was in his pocket.
And in fact, the officer had already arrived on the scene when you were
Yes.
when you were using the towels to try to stop the bleeding.
Yes, the officer seen the towels. I asked him for a first aid kit. He just stood there. He called. I was the one that told them to get an ambulance. The ambulance did not come. The EMT showed up on a fire truck. The ambulance came about 10 minutes later.
And Miss Roberts, who's here, she helped you tend to the body, isn't that right, or to the decedent?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, she helped.
And another young lady.
And she helped you flip the decedent over to.
Yeah, we flipped him over because he was bleeding from his mouth and he was starting to gurgle, and figuring if we flipped him over, try to lift his head until professional people came.
Okay. Did you steal or attempt to steal any money from the decedent at that time?
No.
Okay. With respect to the fire department, did they arrive and provide some kind of first aid?
Yes, the fire department did the engine.
All right.
And the EMTs on the fire apparatus themselves.
When you were using your hands on the decedent's body,
Right.
what, if anything, did the officer say to you?
What are you doing in his pocket?
What'd you say?
He says, I pretty much said he was looking for a wet spot, which evidently he didn't realize what I meant. And, I asked him to render aid, and he just stood there.
No, and
I guess that's his job.
Right. But look, at what point did he accuse you of stealing from the decedent?
After he saw me, my hand in his pocket.
All right, and did he say anything further?
He said, why are you taking his money? I says, I'm not taking his money.
And then did he mention that
He
everything
said,
was on film?
yeah, he said to me, it's on film. I says, good.
All right, and this was done in the presence of Miss Roberts. Miss Roberts was as close to you as the officer was at that point?
No, actually, Ms. Roberts was closer. The officer stood back about 10 feet.
Okay. Do you agree with my characterization that this was a surprise attack?
Yes.
I mean, you saw no indication of any animosity between anyone in that bar when they left.
No.
And then 4 people left the bar.
Yes.
It was quiet. and then this ensued.
Yes.
Do you believe that the bar could have done anything differently to prevent this tragic death?
No, unless somebody would have said, hey, he's in there for a reason. Then I would have called the police.
Right. And indeed, have you had small altercations or verbal altercations in the bar in the past?
Yes, and what we do is we turn the music off, we flip the lights on, we ask everybody to leave. Okay, and then after it settles down, turn the lights back on, put the music on, and start again. That's
And-
what Mr. Thatcher wants.
Right, and Mr. Thrasher was out of town that day, but he's normally there 7 days a week till close, isn't that right?
Yeah, he comes in between 11:30 and 12 every night.
He's the late crowd to make
Yep,
sure there's
he's
no
a late-
problems in
Yeah,
there.
he's a close-up man.
All right, and it's fair to say he's a pretty hands-on guy.
Yes, he knows everybody and the
And
customers.
he stands at the doorway and greets people.
Everybody, yes.
It's fair to say,
Says goodnight to him, everything.
fair to say he probably knows the majority of his customers, don't you?
I would say 90%.
Okay.
No, it's just an unfortunate incident that some 25-year-old kid had a beef with almost a 40-year-old man who had a family. And instead of handling it in another fashion, the first thing they do is, pull a gun and start shooting. So, the officers responded. I mean, it looked like the cavalry 10 minutes later. I didn't understand why they wouldn't let us close the bar. And I said that to whoever the major was or the colonel or whoever was on duty that night. I wanted to close the bar. And he said, you can't. And he said, it's a crime scene. So I called the bartender. I said to her, check out everything, lock the money up. And I said, just do what they ask.
Thank you.
Do you have any other testimony?
Yes, I do. I'm going to be brief. That's why I kind of cut him off. Mr. Thrasher, very quickly, you're Charlie Thrasher, Charles Thrasher Jr.?
Yes.
Licensee?
Yes.
Okay. How many years have you worked at the Haven Place?
Well, I've been there 44 years.
44 years. And how long has the Haven Place been an institution? In
51 years. My
51
dad
years.
was the original owner.
Okay. Briefly, does the description that Mr. Levito make about your place, is it accurate?
Yeah, very much.
It's a small place?
Yes.
You know most of the customers?
Yeah, 90%, 95%.
You stand at the door and see
I
them
know
in?
everybody by name just about.
Okay.
really.
And in the past, if you've ever had any kind of verbal altercations in the bar, how did you resolve it?
Believe it or not, I talk most people out the door. I know them. I say, look, if you want to come back, just go ahead and go and make it another night. I realize we're not selling holy water. People are drinking, and they do change.
Mhm.
So I make them leave, and usually they're pretty good.
All right. And again, this is, you knew C, you knew the decedent.
Yes.
You consider yourself friendly with him.
Yeah, I was really, I was away that night, and I was actually really shaken. I mean, I was very sad,
And
he was my friend.
Did you attend his funeral?
Yes, I did.
And do you believe you could have done, if you had been there, if you had not been on your short vacation to Cape May, that situation could have been prevented?
Maybe unless I walked outside with him, who knows? I might have got shot too. I don't know.
When you've had 4 customers leave at 1:55 a.m. in the past, have you ever had any problems at that time?
I've been there so long, I really don't have any problems. Most people listen to me because they respect me and they want to come back.
All right, thank you. No questions. Very briefly. Ms. Kilgore? Kelly Kilgore, Kilgore. You're a bartender at the bar, isn't that right?
Correct.
Okay, and you were working on the evening in question?
Yes.
Okay, and you are familiar with C, the decedent?
Yes.
Okay, and you knew the other person, the now defendant? Or you had seen him before at the bar?
I seen him, but there was no fight or anything. that
Okay,
night.
then that's what I'm asking. So
Yeah.
on the evening in question, what time did the decedent meet or converse in any way with the defendant inside of your bar?
Probably about 1:50 is when I closed up and pulled a register and got everything together to close the bar up, so I didn't have to do it.
Was there
later.
anything whatsoever which would have indicated to you that there might be a problem between these two people?
Absolutely not.
All right. Did you serve the decedent
Shot.
an alcohol beverage?
Maybe 2 or 3 beers, if
Yeah.
that.
And did you serve anything to the defendant?
Nope.
Okay. Did you see them interact in any way? Shake hands, talk?
No.
Nothing?
Okay.
And you also attended the funeral of C?
Yes, I did.
You considered him a friend?
Yes, I did.
He was a customer who tipped well and bought shots for other customers, things like that?
Yes, he did.
And then it upset you, very
Yeah.
much so?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts, you also were working on the evening of July 9th when this occurred.
Yes, I was.
Sydney, S-Y-D-N-E-Y, last name Roberts, R-O-B-E-R-T-S. And Ms. Roberts, you were also working inside the establishment prior to closing time on July 9th.
Yes.
Isn't that right? And you observed the decedent C?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever observe the decedent C with the defendant who's accused of murdering him?
I seen them dab each other up when they both went to walk outside.
And what does dab each other up mean?
So it's like you go like this, and then you go like that.
All right, so it's like a handshake
it's like
for
a
modern
handshake,
times?
yeah.
Okay, so you saw nothing that would indicate animosity or?
No, they were laughing, like when they dabbed, they were like, "How are you?" And he asked him about his kids.
And then you, later, after the shots were fired, you went outside and helped Mr. Levito to put
Yes.
towels on the decedent and try to save his life?
Yes.
All right, and you even helped Mr. Levito flip over the decedent so you could
Yes.
get to his wounds,
Mhm.
okay? And at any time, did you see Mr. Levito do anything that looked like he was attempting to take money
No.
from the decedent?
No.
Okay, and you were present when the officer made the accusation that
Yes.
Mr. Levito was trying to steal money from the
Yes.
decedent? As his friend, as a friend of the decedent, if you had thought Mr. Levito was trying to steal money from him, how would you have reacted?
I would have asked him to get away from it.
So, thank you very much. Ms. Moser, this is Catherine with a C?
Yes.
C-A-T-H-E-R-I-N-E, Moser, M-O-S-E-R. And Ms. Moser, how long have you been employed by Haven Place?
26 years.
All right. Have you ever seen, you were in, let me scratch it. You were in the bar that evening, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also have the opportunity to see the decedent, C?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also have the opportunity to see the defendant?
I do not know who the defendant is.
Okay. All right, but you saw C?
Yes.
All right. Did you, at any time during that shift leading up to 2 a.m., was there any verbal altercation whatsoever or physical conversation inside the bar between anyone?
No.
Okay. And you were there when the shots rang out?
Yes.
Okay. And you remained in the bar for safety
Yes.
purposes?
I sat at the bar and counted my money.
Okay. And then were you part of the helping to get towels or, no, you stayed
sir.
inside and stayed safe? All right. And did you consider C a friend?
Hi and bye.
Right. But I mean, it was somebody who you knew?
Yes, I know exactly.
And there was nothing to suggest that there was going to be a problem?
Nope.
All right. I have nothing further. Thank you very much. Your Honor, that's going to wrap up our testimony on this. I'm trying to keep it as brief as
Do you
possible.
have anything further before we rule?
I do. Trying to think if this is mitigation or not, but I definitely want to put in the case search results for Eugene Levito showing no charges. This is his entire civil and criminal history. Thank you. I'll move for that.
It's received.
Second, and you might think this is for mitigation, Your Honor, but I think this cuts to the facts in this case, and that is, over 44 years, you get a reputation. 51 years, you get a reputation. Everybody has a different opinion of strip clubs, of adult entertainment. Some people think they're tacky. Some people have different varying views. When you're on the liquor board, you have these cases always come before you where there's solicitation of prostitution and all these other drug sales, all these other aggravating offenses you hear about all the time. And so it would be easy to think that, maybe there's some problems in this business model. What I want to tell you about, and I think this is evidence, I think this demonstrates the peacefulness, the family nature of this place. And I'm going to ask to introduce 2 articles. And I think this captures the ethos of the Haven Place. 2017, City Paper of Baltimore named the Haven Place Best Strip Club. And when they did, they said, Best Strip Club usually goes to one of the city's flashier joints like Millstream or Fantasies, both who have won in the past. But this year, as at our last one, we decided to give it to the humble Haven Place in East Baltimore. The Haven opened in 1967 as a place for the local steelworkers to come after work. Not much has changed over the years. The owner's son still runs it and welcomes guests at the front door, and the dancers will talk to you like they know you following their sets. The drinks are normal bar prices, and if you want to sit in the bar and chat, you're not forced to watch the stage. It's a small bar that will probably outlast the bigger joints in the city. It certainly outlasted us. And I'd ask that you move that in, because I don't think you'll find an adult entertainment licensee in the city with that kind of reputation, with that kind of vibe in his club, and that is incongruous. The business this man runs is incongruous with a place of violence, a place of drugs, or a place where a man steals from a dead man. And I'll also ask to admit this exhibit from the City Paper from 2012, when it won Best Strip Bar You Can Bring Your Wife To. And it says, okay, so Haven Place wins a lot. That's because it's a gentleman's tavern and not a gentleman's club. The difference is that you can go there without feeling like a complete skis ball. It further goes on to say, we don't like all the disco-y accoutrements and dudes at other strip clubs. And though we might like to look, we don't really want to get all rubbed up on. Haven Place is essentially a tavern, with the gentleman's part tagged on as an afterthought. So when our wife wanted to stop in one night, we didn't mind a bit. And that's my point here. It's probably a little bit funny, or maybe it's humorous, but this to me demonstrates that this place is different. It's a different kind of adult entertainment place. It's a peaceful place. It's a place where people are regulars. And it's a place that hasn't needed metal detectors and security cameras, because it's a tiny place and it's well run and tightly, privately managed. In closing, I've got to have a cadet here. I've got a cadet who doesn't work for the Baltimore Police Department. I don't know why. I have no ability to cross-examine that cadet. So I would ask that you find the licensee not guilty of the 4.01A charge. With respect to what happened on July 9th, it's clear that the bartenders at Haven Place lost a good customer and a friend that night, and they don't think they could have done anything to have prevented that without having a crystal ball. The licensees and the entire bar went to his funeral and mourned his loss. And I'm not going to put this into evidence. But what I do want to also note is that this bar passed a compliance check before the Liquor Board on September 6, 2018. This place came before the board, the old board that Commissioner Jones was on, I want to say 10 years ago, selling to a minor. That's the last time this place has had any issues whatsoever. It's tragic. I mean, it can't be fair that one random, unforeseeable homicide in a parking lot should reflect negatively on a business that's been around for a half a century. But that's what we have here. And we have fuel being thrown on the fire by the Baltimore Police Department when they make wild allegations and then fail to charge. fail to even show us video of the incident. And so we have half of the people who were in the bar at the time that the officer showed up. They've testified to you that there was simply no clues whatsoever that there could have been an act of despicable violence like that going to be occurring 10 minutes later. We have testimony from two of the people who tried to save the decedent's life that no one was trying to steal his money. They were trying to save his life. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, the commissioners have any questions before we proceed?
I heard a lot, no.
I just have one question. What was was there security element to this? I mean, was there security on the premises? What's the pattern in practice?
No, like I say, this has been operating for 51 years. The owner and the manager are the security.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do this one piece at a time. I'm going to first deal with whether or not there are violations found, and then we'll come back to, if there are violations, what, if any, sanctions should be applied. So from my perspective, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on May 16, 2018, and of Adult Entertainment Rule 3.05a on the same date based upon the police report which has been received into evidence. As to the events of July 9, 2018, I find Officer Bowman's testimony credible, and I find a violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare, a violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct, a violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 3.04 owner to prevent nuisance, and a violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 3.18 illegal conduct and code compliance. I'd like to hear from my colleagues as to what extent they agree before we discuss any sanction.
Commissioner Jones, you would like me to?
Yes, please. I'm still over here thinking about this.
I too find a violation of alcoholic beverage rule 4.01A. I too find a violation of adult entertainment rule 3.05A. I also find a violation of alcoholic beverage rule 3.12, a violation as well of rule 4.16 of the alcoholic beverage rule, violation of adult entertainment rule 3.04, and a violation of adult entertainment rule 3.18.
Well, the evidence is here before us. I listened to the officer testify. Cadet has no bearing on the case at this point because it's hearsay and we accept that. And based on those variables, I find all charges as my chair and my other commissioner does. I find in case of what is stated here, I found them guilty.
Okay, so you find violations as to each count?
Each count, 401 letter A, 305 letter A, 3.12 general welfare, 4.16 illegal conduct, 304 adult entertainment, 3.18. I find all charges guilty.
Okay, so these are serious violations, but to the credit of this licensee, he's had this license since 1990, and with a single violation back 10 years ago for sale to minor. So I'd really like to have some conversation about what sanction you think is appropriate under these conditions. First of all, with respect to the sale to minors, and the adult entertainment sale to minor, I mean, I'm inclined to impose a $250 fine as to each of those.
I would concur with that on each, $250 fine for 4.01A and a $250 fine for the adult entertainment rule 3.05A. Again, as the chairman said, because of, these are serious crimes, but because of the licensee's record over the past 45, 50 years.
Just for clarity, you're saying each or combined?
Each, $250 each.
I concur.
Okay, so as to the events of July 9, this is the more difficult situation. I'd be inclined to impose a $1,000 fine as to each of those violations. To be for a total of $4,000.
Is that, so I would concur with the $1,000 for each of those remaining charges. And candidly, I would also throw out there the potential of a suspension of some sort for a period of time to figure out a way to keep something like this ever recurring again. But I put that on the table.
What's your view, Commissioner?
I'll just concur with the $1,000 per violation. That's the 3.12, 4.16, adult entertainment 3.404, adult entertainment 3.18, 1,000 each,
Without a suspension?
without a suspension.
Okay, I will join you. So this is a total of $4,500, 30 days to pay.
Thank you all for your time and consideration. Appreciate it.
I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Officer Bowman. Board Exhibit 3, Investigation Report, Agent Krista Malice. Licensee Exhibit 1, Maryland Judiciary
late.
Case Search Results. Licensee Exhibit 2, 2 news articles.
You should have told us.
Licensee Exhibit 3, Compliance Check Letter dated 9/6/2018.
I'm sorry. Did Bryson hear? I did. Okay. So, I'm sorry, what do you want us to do?
Sure.
Just set the date, just set it back in, whenever they agree. If they agree on a date, Tom, that's fine. Price another one of these.
Frederick Station Saloon, 4019 Frederick Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small I, Class BD7 licensees, open and operating tavern at all times on August the 23rd, 2018. Please come forward.
Thank you.
Would all those who are going to testify, please raise your right hands?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Who is it Ms. Kang?
Yes.
Okay. You're charged with a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small double I, open and operating tavern as to August 23. Do you admit or deny the violation?
I'm gonna go by what the employee said. I wasn't there and deny the allegation.
Okay. So we'll hear testimony then. Who's going to testify?
Hello, good afternoon.
Your name, please.
Terry Chase, Inspector Terry Chase with the Liquor Board.
Is this the first time, Ms. Chase? That
Yes.
Good, congratulations.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Tell us what happened.
Okay, on August the 23rd, 2018, at approximately 10:40 p.m., I, Inspector Chase, was accompanied by Inspector Perez and the Baltimore City Department Vice Unit, Sergeant Lesher, and Leaborn. We conducted a BD7 check at Frederick Station located at 4019 Frederick Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21229. I walked into the establishment and waited in line while two patrons in front of me purchased. Once I reached the counter, I asked the employee, could I have a drink in the back? She responded, it's not open right now. I stated okay and proceeded to purchase something from over the counter. I purchased a peach mason for $1.65 and I handed her a $5 bill. Once I received my change, I exited the store and notified the Baltimore Police Department Vice Unit. Soon after I informed them, they both entered the establishment and identified the clerk as Geralda Strutton. And they told her the violation.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the inspector? Okay. Do you wish to testify?
This is Miss Stratton,
Uh-huh.
and basically, when we got the notice, she was questioned because, like, if you look in our records, we've made great strides in the last 5.5 years. We haven't been in front of the liquor board. We haven't had any kind of underage drinking violation.
Actually, you did. You had a sale to minor back in May.
May?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was not aware of that. They didn't tell me.
And 4 years before that, purchasing from other than a wholesaler. So in the last 5 years, you haven't been doing so well. But otherwise, go ahead.
So they didn't tell me about the one in May. And our rule and policy is that anybody with a valid ID is in the tavern drinking. She knows that. I asked her. She said that she told them to come in, and they did not come in. And I can only go by what she says because unfortunately I was not there. Just not even long before that, she had allowed people to come in. They drink, I think they had a Budweiser. Yes. So I don't know why she would have told them that we're
Well,
closed.
since she's here, let's ask her.
I don't
Miss-
recall seeing you or talking to you. I really don't.
So you have no recollection of the evening?
No.
Okay.
You told me I was the only one working and it wasn't open.
I don't recall talking to you.
Ms. Stratton, let me make sure I understand. So Ms. Chase came in and then she told the members of the vice unit after she left that it wasn't open according to you. Did the vice unit, Ms. Chase, then come in?
Yeah, the vice unit came in after me.
Did that clarify your recollection when?
I don't remember her face. I don't remember
But
her.
it would have happened close in time. You don't recall?
No, I don't remember her.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Just, maybe I didn't hear it. Do you recall the vice squad coming in?
Yes, I did. I remember that.
Okay. Did you have anything further, ma'am? All right. On the basis then, what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What? Oh, okay. Did you have testimony?
Sure.
Okay, please.
How are you? I am Councilman Christopher Burnett. I represent District 8, which includes this establishment. I believe you do have letters from the Irvington Community Association it's in opposition.
Yeah, before you go, they asked us to revoke and reissue this license. We don't have the authority to reissue the license, so I hope you understand that.
Absolutely. But I think their intention is very clear. We've made a number of attempts to contact and involve this establishment and then all the establishments on that corridor with the community association. We've started a business association. I've personally gone into this establishment to try and establish a relationship with the business, and at every instance have not been able to establish any rapport with both the staff or the owners. We've left flyers, and so really what I'm trying to get at is we're looking for partnerships. We're looking to have relationships with businesses and have them be partners in bettering the neighborhood. And as you can see, there is a history of violations with this particular establishment, and I think we've heard from the testimony that not being able to recall who's coming in and out is a very dangerous situation when we know that the presence of liquor stores, the proximity of liquor stores, and the impact of violence, as per a recent study by Johns Hopkins Hospital, is a problem. There needs to be monitoring, there needs to be accountability, and we don't see that. I mean, just recently we did a community cleanup on this particular corridor, and I can't count how many liquor bottles, shorties were along that stretch that I personally picked up. And I'm not going to say it was all coming from this one particular store. That wouldn't be fair. There's another one across the street. However, it was very disturbing to me how much was throughout the community. And I know it doesn't pertain to this particular violation, so I won't ask the board to consider it, but I do have crime data associated with this particular stretch over the last year, and there are a number of Part 1 crimes that take place in proximity to this establishment. And so I came to deliver that before you, obviously a little outside of of what we're talking about when we talk about access to a tavern, but I felt it was important because we do know that data shows that when people can't sit down and have a beverage and have access and have someone monitoring their consumption, there is a higher propensity for violence and crime that occurs in the immediate area. So I just would like the board to consider that when looking at these particular charges. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, did you have something? Okay.
Could I say something?
You can.
I don't find that to be true. We have gone to the community association meetings. They made suggestions to us. They actually helped us get a brand new sign outside of the building. We painted the building. So I wouldn't, I don't know if you've been leaving something for me and I haven't gotten it, but we have made attempts to go to the association meetings. I've sent my nephew to several meetings. He's met with the community, and we have taken the suggestions that they have given us. There is no crime or any crime-related issues that is associated with Frederick Station Saloon. It is an area that is riddled with crime. That whole corridor is, you could look at the statistics. Would that come back to us? There's a liquor store right across the street. There's trash all over the place. She's told to go out there. We have to sweep our area, maintain the area, maintain the trash. If you come in, the inspector was there. They come in. The inside of our establishment is clean. We maintain it. So I'm actually surprised because we've reached out and made efforts to simulate into the community because they did complain and said that we weren't really listening to what they said. So we have started attending the meetings. And like I said, we just got a brand new sign and they helped us write the grant to get it. So I'm confused as to, I'm actually surprised.
Am I allowed to add back to? Okay. So, I mean, I think if they viewed you as a partner, they wouldn't have asked to have the license revoked. I regularly attend the meetings. I've never seen you there.
My nephew's gone.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're the owner. And so there's no way for us to know or me to know. And so, like I said, I'm a regular participant. I've personally been in the store. It is clean. But again, and every attempt that I've made to make invitation and then attended those meetings, I've never seen you or your staff in any of those meetings. It is true that we have attempted to improve the storefronts, but that would be true for every business on that corridor. We've been working with the Baltimore Development Corporation to try and encourage every single business to improve their storefronts. So yes, we have done that, and I've been a part of that process. But again, I spoke to the community president just this morning on my way here. She made sure I had a copy of this letter. I asked her what position she preferred me to take and the things that she wanted me to bring up. So I'm conveying what was told to me from Ms. Cunningham, who's been the community president for over 20 years.
But once again, you just mentioned exactly everything that we've done, which shows that we have been there and we have reached out. They asked us to put a new sign, showed us how to get a grant, because the cost for the average sign to put LED light, by the time you're done, you're looking at anywhere from I think it cost us about $5,000. They showed us how to write a grant. They asked us to paint the front of the building. They asked us to do the cement work, which we did. So, I mean, that shows that we were there. We communicated. If it was not specifically me, then it was my nephew. Unfortunately, I do run another business. I can't be everywhere 24 hours
How often
a
are you
day.
at this establishment, Ms. King?
I probably go there at least 3 times a week, if as much as I can.
I'd submit that's not enough, just from what I'm hearing. You got a young, smart, effective council member that you don't know, and I'd encourage you to have some conversation with him in his office because it's critical. There's clearly a disconnect. I'd encourage you to do it. And also sounds like based upon what you didn't know earlier in the hearing,
Yeah, I did not,
suggests to
yeah.
me that you need to be a little more hands-on, especially when a council member and others are coming to testify about some of these issues. So I encourage, this is frankly, I think, an opportunity for you
Well, no,
to actually
definitely.
sit down and have discussions so that everyone benefits.
Right.
Okay, is there anything further? All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small double I, on August 23, 2018. This is, as I count, the sixth violation since this licensee has had the license. I'd impose a $2,500 fine as to this violation, suspend the license for 5 days starting immediately, and give her 30 days to pay the fine.
I concur.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.20C, little 2, imposition of a $2,500 fine and 5-day suspension. I agree with and encourage the licensee to really have some discussions with the council member and the staff. I know we can't order that, but
Thank you.
See you down here. I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of opposition from Irvington Community Association dated 10/10/2018.
I'm at the other.
Opposite Sidewalk Saloon, 132 South Carey Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small I, Class BD7 licensees, open and operating tavern at all times on August the 23rd, 2018. Please come forward.
All those testifying, please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Counsel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Priebus on behalf of the licensees. To my immediate right is one of the licensees, Mr. Aklilu Gebre, and also with him is the gentleman who was working on the evening and occasion, Mr. Tedros, T-E-D-R-O-S, Fasai, F-E-S-S-A-I-E. Tedros, T-E-D-R-O-S, Fasai, F-E-S-S-A-I-E.
Admission or denial?
Denial.
Okay. Inspector?
And the Perez Baltimore City Liquor Board. August 23rd, I Inspector Perez working in an undercover capacity along with members of the Baltimore Police Department Vice Unit, Sergeant Lesher and Detective LeBron, we tried to determine if staff would grant access to tavern portion or licensed establishment to patrons. At approximately 10:15 p.m., I walked into the establishment known as Opposite Sidewalk, located at 132 South Carey Street, Baltimore, Maryland. While inside of the establishment, I stood in line and waited for several minutes until all the patrons conducted package goods purchase. Once I reached the counter, I asked the store clerk, "Can I come in the back?" Meaning the rear portion of the establishment where the tavern is located. He asked me to wait a second. At this time, clerk, along with another clerk that was working behind the counter, had a small conversation. He later replied to me, "I don't think so." At this time, I left the establishment, notified Sergeant Lesher that I was denied entry to the tavern portion of the establishment. Moments later, Sergeant Lesher and Detective LeBron entered the establishment, identified the clerk who denied the entry, and made them aware of the violation.
Questions for the inspector?
Thank you, Inspector Perez. So you indicated, did you go in alone?
Yes, I did.
And nobody else was there with you when you first entered?
Not from my team.
Okay. And you said that there were a lot of customers in the carryout portion?
For about four or five customers.
And were you the last person in line?
No.
You weren't the last person in line?
No, there was about 2 or 3 patrons behind myself.
Okay. So when you say you waited for how did you put it? For the customers to clear. So you were like third or fourth in line?
Just about.
And the gentleman, is it this gentleman here?
I believe he
Mr.
was.
Fasai? And he waited on the people in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, and then when you came up to the counter, you didn't order anything. You asked, could you come in the back?
Yes, sir.
And what did you mean by come in the back? Behind the counter?
The rear portion of the establishment where the tavern is located.
Okay, but you said, can I come in the back?
Yes.
Okay. And did he say no?
Not immediately.
Okay. Did he have other customers behind you?
Yes, he did.
Did he continue to wait on those other customers behind you?
I immediately walked away from the establishment. I didn't see their transactions.
Okay, so you, as soon as you asked it, could you come in the back, and he said, wait a second, you left?
No.
Well, did he wait on other customers?
No, he had a conversation with his coworker.
Do you know what that conversation was?
It was in a different language.
Okay. And then, so then, you're saying he didn't wait on the other customers, that,
Not at that moment. I stood at the counter waiting for him to give me the okay if I could come in or not.
okay, and did anybody else wait on those other customers while
No.
you were waiting for that answer? Okay. And it's your testimony that he said, not at this time?
I don't think so.
I don't think so?
Yes.
Okay, and then you left?
And then I said, okay, and then I left.
Okay. Thank you, I have no further questions.
Okay, anything further? All right.
Thank you, I call Mr. Tedros Fasai. Speaking to the mic, Mr. Fasai, you've been sworn?
Yes.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, and state your name for the record.
My name is Tedros Fasai.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 31 years old.
And how long have you been working at the opposite sidewalk?
For almost 3 months.
Okay, and have you been instructed that the tavern portion is to remain open at all times when the carryout portion is open?
Yeah. I've been
Okay.
told to do.
So do you recall Inspector Perez coming in on August 23rd, 2018? Do you remember Mr. Inspector Perez?
I don't remember the face, but
You remember the incident?
the incident I remember.
Okay, tell us what happened.
Well, at that time, I was too much busy with the customers, and a guy came to me and told me to come in, and I was about to give him an answer, and then he left. That's what I
Okay.
remember.
So were there customers behind him?
Yeah, I was working.
Okay,
I was
and were you waiting on those other customers?
Yeah, they were waiting.
Okay, so did you told him to wait a minute? You agree with that part of what he said?
To the customers? Or
No, to Inspector Perez.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I just
What did you tell him when he said, "I want to come in the back"?
I just said to show me the ID.
Show you the ID?
Yeah.
And did he show you the ID?
I was about to tell him, but he left early.
So you never asked, you never got to that point?
Yeah. I
You were
never-
waiting on other customers?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
serving the other customers, and I was talking with my coworker.
And what were you and your coworker talking about?
We were talking about the job, the work.
About whether
No,
he
no,
should
no,
be
no, it's not-
entered or something else?
No. It's not about the issue that he came in, or it's about to fill the refrigerator, and he was asking me what I was needed.
Oh, okay, about restocking the refrigerator?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with whether
with the-
there's a decision to be made on whether
no.
somebody's allowed entrance into the tavern portion?
No.
Okay, so after you finished with your coworker, then you went to ask
Yeah, I was about to
Inspector
ask.
Perez for his ID, but he had already left?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you wait on the other customers?
Yeah, I served the other customers.
Okay, and did the Vice Police come back after that?
Yeah. They did.
And did they tell you why they were there?
Yeah, they told me to show me. Actually, I was working with the other customers while the police came in, and then they asked Gaetano to show them the license.
Okay, and when you refer to Gaetano, you were referring to your coworker?
Yeah.
And his full name is Gaetano Tafari?
I remember that. I know that it's Gaetano.
Okay. And that is Ganehtafere for the record.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. That's for his benefit. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So you're saying that had Inspector Perez waited until you finished your crowd, you would have admitted him to the tavern?
Yeah, I was about to ask him the ID, but he left quickly, so I didn't have the chance to talk with him, and because
Okay.
we were too much busy at that day.
Okay. And the tavern was open?
Yeah, it was open.
And there's two of you there?
Yeah, we were.
And
Me
you're-
and my coworker. Gaetano.
And you're able to provide service in the tavern with the two of you there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any other
else
evidence?
questions?
Do you have questions?
Just one. When he asked you for entry to the tavern, why was there a delay?
You understand the question?
No, I don't understand.
When he asked you, could he go into the back?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you delay your response to him?
No, because at that time my coworker, he was asking me about refill the refrigerator, and we were talking with him. And at the same time, I had this customer ask me to come in, and it was like at the same time everything for me.
I'm good.
Anything further?
Mr. Gabray? Okay, you're the licensee and the owner, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you've been here before the board before?
Yes.
And you understand the absolute necessity that the tavern portion be open at all times that the carryout is open? You
Yes.
understand that?
Yes.
Have you instructed your employees that the tavern is open as long as the carryout is open?
Yes, sir.
And you provide, now you have 2 workers there?
Yep. Yes,
And
sir.
so you're capable of having the tavern open?
Yep.
And is the tavern open?
It's open all the time.
Okay, and you have regular customers that come in all the time?
all the time.
Okay, and you weren't there on this occasion?
No, I wasn't there at that time.
Okay, but you've instructed your
Yeah,
employees?
I give them all the instruction. They know all the rule. We
Then-
usually let them in the customers. We ask them ID on the counter, and once we see the ID, we let them in.
ID and it's open, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small double I, on August 23, 2018. This being the 3rd time that this licensee's been in for the same offense, and his 4th violation, I would impose a $2,500 fine. I'd suspend his license for 5 days, and I'd give him 30 days to pay.
I concur.
Find a violation of Rule 4.20C, 2 little I, would concur with the imposition of a $2,500 fine and 5 days suspension.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Andy Perez. Thank you.
We're at case number 7, Mr. Chairman. I think it is 1919, 1919 Fleet Street. This is a Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 3.09, small b, restroom facilities and health regulations on August the 24th, 2018. Please come forward.
Would all those who are going to testify raise their right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What is your name, ma'am?
Sally Hutchins.
Ms. Hutchins, you're charged with a violation of Rule 3.09, small b, restroom facilities and health regulations on August 24 of this year. Do you admit or deny the violation?
I admit to it. I did not have my license had expired.
Okay. So you've had this license since 1985 without any violations. What happened?
Apparently, they thought I was closed, and I didn't.
Who thought you were closed? The health department?
The health department,
Uh-huh.
and I did not realize that, and I didn't realize I wasn't paying when they came. I actually looked for my receipt because I thought I had paid it, because I always pay all my things. And they said, no, well, you've been closed since 2011. I was shocked. So I went, they closed me for 3 days on a Friday, and on Monday I went to the health department and got my license.
Okay.
And they allowed me to open back up.
So you believe you just missed this?
Yes.
Was she cooperative?
Yes, she was. She actually.
You have to step up and tell us your name, please. I'm sorry.
My name's Inspector Joy Tejada from the health department. So she actually came to the office the next business day and attained her license.
You closed her down for 3 days?
Yes, during the weekend.
Okay.
Is there a fine associated with it?
So essentially, they have their license fee and then a late fee on top of that. We normally cap it off to whatever the maximum amount of the license is, which is $60. So 60 with the 60, and that's how much she had to pay to attain her license again.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything further? Anything further? Okay. Ms. Hudgens, on the basis of the testimony and the materials we have before us, I do find a violation of Rule 3.09, small b, on August 24, 2018. In light of the sanction that was already imposed by the Health Department, I would not impose a further sanction. And your good record.
Thank you very
I
much.
concur.
I find a violation of Rule 3.09B and would concur with the imposition of no fine and this being a mistake and the fine that's already been paid and your great record.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Elsie Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Inspector Andy Perez. Admin fee also, I forgot to ask that. No admin fee? No, okay, thank you.
The Liquor Store Socialize, 6130 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 18th, 2018. Please come forward.
All those who are going to testify, please raise their right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What is your name, ma'am?
Praneet Sani?
Ms. Sani, you're charged with a sale to minor violation on July 18. Do you admit or deny it?
Yes, we do.
You admit?
Yes.
That it happened? Okay, you want to tell the board what happened that day?
Yes, that night, actually, I don't have much to say. It is our fault. However, having said that, I would like, in my defense, to say it was a bad judgment on my employee's part. It was too much going on that night with the lottery sales and everything. So he took the bad judgment. He thought the customer in front of him was over 21. I did go through my cameras. We take law very seriously and practice it really well, for which I have this. We have been checked several times for minor sales and for tobacco sales, and we have passed everything. Recently just got checked for the tobacco sales maybe about 2 months ago, and we passed that as well. We haven't received the certificate just yet, so I couldn't bring it to the court. But the liquor minor sales have been checked, and we have passed it.
I know for the record you have no history of violations.
No, we have not, and we've been trying to practice the law, follow it. It was just that night, I don't know what happened to his brain.
Did you tell Mr. Kumar to ID everyone?
Yes, I did, and he's someone who does ID every single time. Can't speak for what happened that night because I wasn't there in the premises myself to witness the whole thing. The only thing I could do is go back to my cameras, and by seeing that, don't know what happened to his mind. He says that he thought it was over 21.
He should not take the chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is an error from our end. However, having said that, it's not going to repeat.
Cooperative?
Yes.
Okay. Questions, commissioners?
No.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, which includes your honesty, I appreciate that. I do find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 18, 2018. It's a first offense. I'd impose a $250 fine and give her 30 days to pay.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
I concur.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $250 fine.
Good luck. Thank you.
I'm going to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Elsie Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Krista Malice.
Hubcap Inn, 6001 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July the 18th, 2018. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky representing the license.
Would everyone raise their right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Admission or denial,
It'd
Mr.
be an admission.
Okay. What happened on July 18th?
Well, in the particular instance here, they usually have people at the door, security checking people before they come in. For whatever reason, there was a lapse in this period, and when the person came in, the person who was serving thought that they had been checked at the door. They've been pretty vigilant about it. They may have 2 or 3 people security out in front checking all the time. They started this process after 2012 when they had a similar violation. They started putting security on. But in the meantime, See, even this. I talked now. He's had a lot of times where the board have come in and then, they used to call them good boy, bad boy letters, you know, that he's had numerous times, 3 or 4 times where he's turned people away. So I think there's copies about 3 or 4 times where people have come in. So it's not the kind of place where they don't check. He does go ahead. For whatever when there's a lapse, he's talked to the people. Sometimes it gets crowded in and told them that the people have to check when they come through the door.
Was he cooperative? Okay, commissioners have questions?
None.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, proper from council, the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on July 18, 2018. It's been 6 years since his last violation. I'd impose a $300 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
I concur.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $300 fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Call Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Elsie Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Krista Malice. Licensee Exhibit 1, 9, letters of compliance. Thank you.
Loafers 2, 1401 Bloomfield Avenue. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on August the 7th, 2018. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. With those who are going to testify, raise your right hand, please.
I do swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Admission or denial, Mr. Knesset?
That'd be an admission.
Okay. August 7, mitigation?
Yeah, this is an example. They have probably 10 or 12 people that work there, and normally they're pretty vigilant about checking, cards and so forth. And this is another one of those same instances where, they put the bottle but didn't check. And I'll try and tell everybody that I know, you can't check first, then put the bottle second before you furnish, because I think Mr. Greenfield was the one that pointed out that the law says furnish and not only sell. And point well taken, except that the licensees don't always take that point. Sometimes, and I always, I see nobody here has been in the alcoholic beverage business, and I own a bar, a restaurant, nightclub, and it's like, sometimes you're in there, it's like a bunch of kamikaze pilots that lived. I mean, there's people coming in, and you put up, I'll come back, and you forget. How many times you've been in a place where they say to you, you order, let me have your credit card. I mean, your first thing is, I don't want you, no, we're not gonna let you charge. It's not a normal kind of business when you go into a Giant Food or something. They have 10 or 12 people working there. They normally check. They haven't had, a history back in 2015. They had some problems with live entertainment that we're working on with the zoning, but that's, they've instructed everybody now to check everybody, even if you ask and they're not old enough, they'll leave.
Okay. Anything further? Commissioners?
Nothing.
Cooperative?
Always.
Okay. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents and the proffer from counsel in the admission, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on August 7, 2018. The last sale to minor was about 3.5 years ago or something like that. I'd impose a $500 fine and give them 30 days to pay.
I concur.
Find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. County Call Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Krista Malice. Thank you.
Mr. Page, is that our docket?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 11 a.m. Thursday, October the 18th, 2018.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.